There's a bomb on a bus. Once the bus goes 50 miles an hour, the bomb is armed. If it drops below 50, it blows up.
No! No!
This is madness!
Madness.
This is Sparta!
You shall not pass!
Hello, in there. Are you awake? I'm talking to you. Are you listening?
Here by Vectron! For Vectron!
Who's Spectrum?
Right here, right now, right here, right now, right here, right now, right here.
Firstly, I can only apologise that it's taken over a year for me to complete this. What can I say, real life has provided many distractions recently, mainly involving my newfound abilities to irradiate the general public in the name of healthcare. I'm also acutely aware that I haven't done anything remotely sciencey on this channel since the last instalment of this Gauntleted series, which is odd since I profess to be a loosely scientific YouTuber, so why the big canyon in my evolutionary escapades? Well, for one thing, evolution never really was my favourite subject. I always enjoyed other aspects of biology and science, over the endless reams of taxonomy and classification. Sure, Tiktaalik is pretty interesting, but never will inspire me in quite the same way as Speeman's salamanders, Hubble's deep field or Gemarataton. As a consequence of this, I've also missed out on commenting on Nephilim's various fuckwittery since my last episode. All that moon stuff for a start, but now Nephi has really become a tired, well-ridden old bandwagon, and so addressing his challenges has been feeling a bit like using the same overused square of bog roll to clear up the same old crusty shit still clung defiantly to Nephilim's ring of ignorance. But it pains me not to finish something I started, and it's just as much of a challenge to see if I can approach this in a way not done before. So let's rinse this paper, add some googly-eyed bleach and see if we can dislodge those pesky tag nuts. And what better way to begin than by revealing the googly Nephilim Mark III, now with paper swallowing action. Buy one for yourself and a couple more for your family and friends.
Hello, in there. Are you awake? I'm talking to you. Are you listening?
Adding to the absurdity that mutation is capable of causing morphological changes, the fact that for a mutation to be passed on to the offspring, it must occur to the DNA of the germline cells, sperm or egg cells. This reduces the potential number of mutations that can accumulate astronomically, not only because of vastly reduced numbers, but because of recombination, which removes mutations which affect homebox genes. It seems odd to start part 3 with Nephilim being right about something. In order for a mutation to be inherited, it must occur within the germline cells. So what is this astronomically low number of mutations then, Nephi? Care to elaborate? Is it between 100 and 200 per generation in humans? I make that between 100 and 200 count, so fuck you on your first argument. As for the second point on recombination in homeobox genes, firstly you've got to be at least slightly inebriated, as I am currently, to think that this repair is perfect. There are at least 15 bajillion cases where mutations take hold, believe me I counted, and these cause all sorts of fun syndromes, just ask Google. Recombination and other repair mechanisms frequently get it wrong, incorporating genetic changes into the cellular genome. It's only because natural selection so heavily favours conservation of the Hox genes that they are so preserved throughout the genetic tree of life. We also have studies showing how changes in genes can and do affect morphology. I know how much you love that word, Nephilim, but I'll save that for another video.
Hello, in there. Are you awake? I'm talking to you. Are you listening?
DNA possesses linguistic laws more advanced than ZIFs, quantitative linguistic study of DNA sequences. SPLI Akolungbun and Minchunga, Institute of Physics, Academia Sinka, Nankung, Taipei 115 Taiwan, Department of Information Management, Lingtung College, Taichung, Nantun 408 Taiwan. A new family of compound Poisson distribution functions from quantitative linguistics is used to study the linguistic features of DNA sequences that go beyond the ZIFs law. Oh yay, statistical analysis. Forgive me if I wet myself with excitement. Zipf's law is a linguistic law that shows the correlation between the frequencies words appear in language. The most frequently used word "the" appears twice as much as the most frequent word "and 3 times as much as the next word "of," and so forth. Fascinating. Now this paper isn't available for free online, and given that Nephi's quote comes directly from the abstract, which is available, it leads me to the unfortunate suspicion that Nephi hasn't read it, and really has no idea what he's babbling about. It would appear he spits just as much as he swallows. And on that alarming mental image, let's have a look at that paper. I can get it since I'm in university and we have tricks for obtaining these articles. It defines a word in DNA as one of the codons, the 3-letter sections of DNA that code for a specific amino acid. Already we have a problem when comparing to language, as using codons as words means it's impossible to find a string of 3 letters which isn't a word, unlike in English where you can have plenty of nonsense stuff such as and and Boris Johnson. Either way, the authors conclude with, it may be too premature to conclude that our results imply that DNA sequences have any resemblance to an actual language. However, it is suggesting that DNA sequences have features that resemble natural language, and it may be modelled by linguistic methodology. And let's just highlight the key words there. Natural language. This will be important later on.
Hello, in there. Are you awake? I'm talking to you. Are you listening?
There is no known natural law through which matter can give rise to information. Neither is any physical process or material phenomenon known to that can do this. Git Renner, Director and Professor of the German Federal Institute of Physics and Technology, Head of the Department of Information Technology. The Inulindale 21 Guide to Checking Your Sources. Always make sure your source is as unbiased as possible with regards to the question being discussed. Also, take care not to just quote the opinion of your source, but rather their underlying evidence. Remember, arguments from authority are a no-no, especially if it's a bloody German. Next, ensure that your source is reliable and factually coherent, and hasn't already has his or her arguments discredited by others. So, does your source stack up? No.
Hello, in there. Are you awake? I'm talking to you. Are you listening?
DNA is information stored with algorithms which conform to linguistics law, all of which are immaterial. The material cannot create that which is immaterial. Information, algorithms, and linguistics cannot be produced by nature. This is empirical evidence that all life is a product of intelligence. Intelligence is mind. Since nature cannot produce these, they can only be products of supernatural mind. Wonderful, a delightful recipe of arguments from ignorance and unsupported assumptions all in one lovely cake of fail. Most of this tripe about algorithms and linguistics I'll leave for now since Nephi is going to repeat it later like the broken record player that he is. But the basic fallacy being played on this particular vinyl is the one of the false dichotomy. It works two ways for Nephilim. He sees a smashed glass on the floor, and rather than saying it supports the theory of gravity, gravity is in fact the only thing which could explain it, when in fact it's also evidence for cricket bats or unobservant emperor penguins. Nephilim would also insist that since the penguin was away at the time, then the cricket bat is the only explanation, when he's failed to take into account the possibility of any other hypothesis, such as a hyperactive given with a swing ball set.
Hello, in there. Are you awake? I'm talking to you. Are you listening?
DNA is an empirical proof of design. All features of a cell are coded into the DNA. The cell cannot exist without DNA, and the DNA can't exist without the cell which reproduces it. This is a chicken and egg problem that proves neither could exist without the other. Most must be fully formed and present for a cell or for DNA to exist. This proves one could not evolve at all without the other. This is creation, not evolution. Actually, Nephi, the chicken and the egg problem is neither creation nor evolution, but rather abiogenesis. Evolution, as many have constantly attempted to get through your alarmingly osteopatrotic cranium, only deals in how the metaphorical egg becomes a figurative chicken, not how the egg got there in the first place. Suffice to say, there are numerous thoughts on how DNA or RNA first originated, none of which require us to invoke a deity or become bigoted arseholes.
Hello, in there. Are you awake? I'm talking to you. Are you listening?
Algorithms, problem-solving procedures which require the collection and comparison of information. Information, also immaterial knowledge which requires the sender and receiver and which defines work to be done. And linguistics law, conformity to ascribed character per decoration and communication foreknowledge are products only of intelligence. Nature can never produce any one of them. This is empirical evidence that DNA design code of organisms is designed. Evolutionism is not science. Yes, you heard it here first. Nephilim has actually defined what he means by the terms he uses. Of course, each definition is tweaked to suit his conclusions. Unless algorithms can refer to a simple chain of instructions, then they have little relevance to DNA beyond the interactions involved in translation. Information is actually a generalized concept involving communication or instruction. No matter how much he tries to plug in the word immaterial, neither is DNA a design code just because he wants to beg the conclusion of a designer. Nephi is clutching at metaphors and running with them to absurdity. Does it ever occur to you, Nephilim, that not everything must be read absolutely Oh, stupid question.
Hello, in there. Are you awake? I'm talking to you. Are you listening?
DNA contains overlapping information. Example, if it included Jack and Jill went up the hill to fetch a pail of water, it may also contain just the law for the town pillow and Weo Vale and Jan wept wet, except the information sequences may be incredibly long in the same space. There's 3 known layers of error connection which replaces mutated genes with a backup copy. I had to sit through his 10-minute video on algorithms just to make any sense of what he's blithering about here. I hope you lot appreciate the effort. Anyway, yes, DNA has overlapping genes, though not nearly in the way Nephilim describes.
A, C, G, T, A, C, A, C, G, T. Strand hopping.
This is where just a basic understanding of how proteins are formed would be really useful. Firstly, it uses mRNA, which has uracil and none of this thyroxine rubbish, and secondly, it's single-stranded. Protein translation thus does not skip over nucleotides or jump back into the nucleus to try and find the other bits. And this is the final time I'll say it, since your genetic tomfoolery is becoming increasingly tedious. DNA repair is imperfect, otherwise we wouldn't see variation at all.
Hello, in there, are you awake? I'm talking to you. Are you listening?
Human DNA is 6 feet long, digital, the most complex things known to man, embedded, strand hopping, overlapping, error codexing, three-dimensional information technology. Evolution is destroyed by DNA. DNA is not a primary structure, also a secondary, tertiary, and quaternary structure. This quaternary structure discredits evolutionism also. It's complexity upon complexity, which is separated and distinguishable for function. Nature could never produce it. So to summarise then, DNA is complicated. No shit, so bloody what? The whole point is that its complexity developed over time through evolution. Using that complexity as an argument against it is like telling an architect the Empire State Building wasn't built by men because look how tall it is! It might seem I'm getting a little impatient here, but considering how Nephilim returns to exactly the same points like a goldfish rediscovering its castle every 2 fucking minutes, you can forgive me some degree of frustration.
Hello, in there, are you...
Get on with it.
DNA stores information, exclamation mark, in 3 dimensions. Its sequences are overlapping, embedded, skipped. Stop repeating yourself or I will snap your puny mind into small parts and beat you with them!
Hello?
DNA conforms to the linguistics law. Impossible unless it's a product of intelligence, because only intelligence is capable of organising information so that it conforms to linguistics law, such as Zipf's law. Linguistics is a characteristic of intelligence. Inanimate materials do not have linguistics. This proves DNA is a product of intelligent design. It possesses characteristics that only intelligence can decipher, using the language technology only man possesses. Back to my point about natural language. It has escaped Nephi's attention that natural languages, i.e. the spoken word of the vast majority of the world's population, apart from the Welsh, it's not natural and no good will come of it, are not in any way designed by anyone, but rather evolved over time. For example, Latin spread out and changed into English, German, French, Italian, English turned into American English and whatever the hell they speak in Birmingham, etc., etc. His best argument about likening DNA to language, then, is in fact testament to just how these things have the ability to develop without any need for design or intention, just the ability to replicate and modify under selection pressures.
Hello, in there, are you awake? I'm talking to you. Are you listening?
Believing evolution could create DNA is a form of mild insanity, because it is departure from all of man's knowledge of genetics overcome by a presumption that is so important to them that it overpowers reason and becomes dogmatic denial of any information that threatens it. At the end of the day, Nephilim, I could not give a hint of a crap about what you think, as I'm getting on with actually learning things and making something of my life while you sit in the shade with your head firmly plugged between your buttocks. Come on out and enjoy the sunshine, it's good for you. Just be careful reality doesn't smack you so hard your arsehole falls off.
Yippee-ki-yay!